All right, time to separate these bad boys. I got to make some headway on these. So what I've done is, in preparation, I've gone in and split one of these corners off of there. So my hopes for doing it this way is, a lot of times or at least when I do it, the whole crystal sticks right to our heatsink, and then it's really hard to get the crystal off. And when you get the crystal off, you don't have a lot of leverage to get the indium off. So my hopes is that doing it this way will basically unsweat the indium. The crystal will remain on our fiberglass here, and then I can scrape the indium both off the heatsink and the crystal. So let's test it out. Alright, so it looks like these are already at like 230, 260. So they should be just about ready here. Fiberglass isn't too hot. Perfect. Well, that was a bad example. There's no indium on that one. Maybe this one. Hey, there we go. Look at that. See? Indium on both sides. Should be easy enough to get. It does not take long whatsoever. Probably turn that down a little bit. Perfect. Yeah, pre-prepping that corner is definitely a must. Oh, that did sound good. Well, we got one and we lost the other. I bet you that's what happens if I leave it on too long. Nothing. Woo! Yeah, that was a little roasty. Alright, we could turn this way down, I imagine. That works pretty dang good. Definitely too hot though. You gotta be careful with that. Seems like I'm starting to mess with the fiberglass. There, that one was good. Definitely want some gloves on because this stuff gets pretty hot. Throwing stuff around. I didn't give myself a whole lot of real estate on this one. Still enough. The fiberglass is not the hot pot. It's that copper heatsink. It does exactly what it's supposed to do, I'll tell you that. Little bit of indium there. We'll collect it when it's cooled down a bit. Nothing. Almost melted that to my bench. Well, perfect. That worked way faster than I expected. So, see, we got a good opportunity to scrape that indium off there. Before we process this. And same thing with these guys. Scrape that indium right off of there before we get it in the acids. Should be able to get a good chunk. All right, let's see how well this works. Hold on, let's put a little bit of light on the subject here. Bam. Maybe? All right, so what I was talking about before is this. See how the crystals get stuck to it? So when you melt this off of there, you get stuck with something like this, which is not ideal, right? Because, I mean, this stuff is pretty brittle. Of course, I try to break it. It doesn't break. But there's not a lot of space there to work with, right? You know, if it's held onto something, you're pretty much right on your workspace. Where now, not a good one. Not a good one. There. So like this, we've got plenty of room to get something here to cut this indium off. And the reverse side, it's the same thing. You've got this entire platform here to scrape it off, right? And if you're lucky enough, maybe like this, I can wedge it up against the table. Oh, we'll find out here in a minute. I don't know if I like this lighting though. 1 second here. All right, let's start with the chisel here. Does a pretty decent job scraping that off. We've got a nice little chunk of indium there. All right, this is going to be the holder for now. Flip it around, get the other side. There we go. I like that. We'll get a tray or something to put all this stuff in. Whoosh, there we go. Back in action here. Don't need that. indium. All right, and then this is ready to roll. So these are all the pinless ones we got. I'm gonna go ahead and separate everything that's kind of ready and not here. All right, well, I'm just gonna keep scraping this stuff off, see if we can get a good chunk of indium here. All right, let's test this bad boy. Throw a little bit of hydrochloric in there. And a little bit of copper 2 chloride. There we go. Let's check back on that tomorrow and see what our paint looks like. Alright, so this has been sitting in here for 2 days. Let's check out what we've got. Let's see here. Let's rinse this off. So, I'm not sure if that's necessarily going to work. Let's see. That paint is coming right off of there. But I don't know if it's because the paint is actually so we can see it's actually starting to work. I don't think the paint is actually getting removed. I think the acids are getting underneath the paint, is what it kind of looks like to me. Because it's not really dissolving. Yeah, so like that, you can see there's copper underneath. Yeah, look at, just like that. And all right, well, we're gonna have to go back to the drawing board on that. Cool. What is going on, everybody? Good weekend. Got a lot done. So I really like the heat tray or the heat plate. Putting the CPUs on it works really well. I would highly recommend, before doing it, right, before putting it on the heat, just take like a pair of side cutters or something, and then just give yourself something to stick, you know, your prying tool underneath there before you get too far ahead of yourselves. But works really well. So definitely be doing that with the rest of these. So I've got a lot more pin CPUs than pinless CPUs. So yeah, we'll put that on another video. So these pinless CPUs were just kind of a test to see if I was going to go that route with the heat. Because pulling a manual off, I'm not a fan of that. I mean, it works, but trying to get the indium off of this stuff is kind of a pain. Where I've got plenty of property in workspace to get my chisel or knife or whatever you want to use to kind of scrape it off of there. You've got plenty of room to hold on to it, whether you're doing it with your hands or, I mean, even a vise, you know, if you can clamp it here to scrape or however you want to go about that. I like it. I like it a lot. So that's what I'm going to do for the rest of these. The paint. We'll get that squared away. So, but how you gonna know unless you test it? So the next one will be waterproof paint. We'll give that a shot and see. Because I still like the idea, nice and quick. Sorry, I had to throw that in for you guys. and it covers a lot of ground. So I don't know. We'll keep pressing with that. We'll keep pressing. I think we'll figure it out. High enamel or waterproof. I think those are the two cans I got to get. We'll see. All right, and I just wanted to get you a little update on your gold. We'll get you your gold. I think what I'm going to start doing is removing these pins. So I got a whole bunch of them that are that don't have the heatsink on them. So we'll start getting those pins out so we can make some progress on here, and then jump on the rest of these heat sinks. So I will be doing a separate video on the pinned ones, right? Because pinless ones, we don't have to worry about the pins coming out. The pinned ones, we do. So it might be put that heat on the heat sink. Oh, throwing gold around. I caught it with the legs. We will do a separate video on the pinned ones because I'm curious to see if this method will desolder the pins. So we might be able to kill two birds with one stone going this route. No, just take them off the heat, tap them on something, get all the pins off, go ahead, pry the heatsink off. Might work pretty slick. Might work pretty slick. Well, anyways, just wanted to show you an update on your gold. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.